Hello. Today we're in the training room of the Hub in Emerald, and we're going to talk about how we open and close the concertina walls so that it makes it just a little easier for people who are doing it for the first time. One of the things about a concertina style of wall is that if it in any way moves off the vertical, it digs into the ground, and that really makes it difficult. What we've done to make this concertina wall a little easier to operate is we've provided a red dot at the bottom of the first wall. We've also provided a discrete line of dots that run along the joint in the carpet. More importantly, those dots run along the exact center line of the travel of the concertina wall. In this particular room, the training room of the Hub, the first panel that we close is the wall panel with the blue and the green dot. So what we're going to do to try and make it as easy as possible is to grab this first panel. Down the bottom you'll see there is a red dot. You'll also see there's a line of dots, and we're going to try and keep that red dot over the black dots. To commence the closing of this retractable wall, it's best to use both hands, and in pulling it out, we're going to try and keep this red dot over the line of dots. I'll explain why that is important once we've done this first stage. So I'll grab this egg, gently pull it towards me as I walk backwards. You'll find that it'll want to rotate, which is fine. Just keep that red dot over the line of dots in the carpet until you get to these three dots here. And that's as far out as you need to take the door initially. One of the issues with a concertina door is that you end up with an angle that sticks out here, and you end up with an angle that sticks out there. If the door is not kept vertical, what can happen is that angle, that corner, will jam on the carpet. Once it jams on the carpet, it really is difficult. And this is why we try to keep the red dot over the line in the carpet to prevent that happening. You can see that the red dot is that far away from the line in the carpet, and that is a result of that corner jamming on the carpet. It's really important you don't try and fight that. What we have to do is to actually unjam it, and that's simply done by just pushing on this edge to try and get that red dot back over that center line. So it's just a little jerk there. Now it's free. Before it was jammed. Now that we've got the red dot over the center line and we've got the panels in this position, we now need to straighten this concertina. We do this by going to this end of the wall and just pulling back towards the wall, which will gently straighten the whole wall. You can't straighten it perfectly by pulling on this. You have to do that by going to each hinge and just give it a gentle push. Probably we call it a wriggle rather than a push. And you now see that the 3 panels are in line, and we now gently push the 3 panels back until the first panel engages in the wall support. I push these 3 panels back into the wall support, but as you'll see from this gap, they haven't actually engaged. It's very important to check that they are engaged, otherwise it'll be very difficult to close the other part of the wall. So I've checked now that they're not engaged. I'll go up the other end and I'll just give it a little bit of a nudge, hopefully to get that engaged in that. The last part to secure this door is to rotate this knob with this lever. What that'll do is it'll pull all the doors together and interlock them. It'll also drop the skirts onto the floor that'll add soundproofing. This spring is reasonably strong, so I think everybody would find it easier if you engage the lever in that, shall we say, 1/4-2 or 10-2 position, and then rotate it clockwise. You will find that that is quite strong to rotate, but doing like that is probably easier. The second part of closing these wall panels is to rotate this panel in the same way as we started rotating those panels, so that this edge will end up engaging in that edge. So again, by simply holding the door either side, pull the door gently towards you, walking backwards, keeping the red dot over the line in the carpet. And again, we do that so that the corners of the wall panel don't dig into the carpet. That's the most important piece of advice we can provide. Keep the red dot over that line, pull it towards you. It will want to rotate as it opens. Take it to about that point there, where that edge is kind of close to that edge. The last part of joining these 5 wall panels together is to rotate this panel by holding the edge, pushing on this, rotate the wall, and that'll straighten it. And once it's straight, what we want to do now is to give it a bit of a shove to engage that into that. That is now engaged. So what we do now is we put the rotating lever in this knob, and we'll close that closing edge onto the wall, which will complete the soundproofing of these 5 panels. So the final part now is to engage this lever and just rotate it, and as we do that, that leading edge will make contact with the wall. And just turn it until it stops, and that'll engage all 5 wall panels. We're in the hub in Emerald, and this is the training room 1 and 2 that has this 5-panel concertina wall which we want to open. We first start by putting this rotating lever in this lock with the yellow dot. We now rotate the lever in an anti-clockwise direction, and as you do this, you will see that this edge has moved away from the wall, creating a gap. This is the first stage of opening the wall panels. These wall panels have been made so that we have two panels here joined together with a hinge, and we have three panels here joined together with two sets of hinges. So as we open this wall, it's going to separate firstly on that join there. So by coming back to this edge, I just apply a little bit of pressure and push in that direction, and what you'll see is that it's opened that gap, separating these two panels from those three panels. To open these two concertina panels, we want them to fold out. To do that, we need to push on the other side of these panels. So we're now going to walk around these panels, push on that joint. To commence the collapsing of these two panels, we push on this joint here where the blue spot is, and that'll cause the two panels to start to concertina. Once you've started that, don't go any further, because we don't want the wall to jam on the floor. So come round to this edge and just gently push, and as soon as you can, reference that red dot over the line to ensure that we're keeping these doors as vertical as possible. And then we just collapse the two panels against the wall. To open these three wall panels, the first thing we have to do is to disengage this interlock, which will also raise the skirts. So using this lever, engage this lever at about 3 o'clock and carefully rotate it, because as you heard then, it'll spring, and that can be a little bit of a surprise. So if you know it's going to happen, that's much better. It doesn't hurt the hands, but it will just flick over. Once you've undone that, you've finished with this lever. The next action to open these panels is to disengage them from the vertical wall member at the other end. To do that, simply grab this end and give it a little bit of a sharp pull. As you can see, it's moved, and in moving, it's disengaged the first panel from the wall. The next stage of opening these three panels and collapsing the concertina is to put your hand where the green dot is, to grab the leading edge and just gently rotate. And as you rotate, you will see the door will start to concertina. Just take it to about that amount of collapse, then come round the face of this door. Be mindful of the red dot and try to keep it over the center line in the carpet, and just gently push it up against the wall. Now that we've folded those 3 panels against the wall, that is all you need to do to actually complete the opening of this retractable wall.